The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
We're back. All right.
We're big.
We're back. Welcome to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. I'm Ryan McCarthy, one of your hosts. To my right is a man who will tweak himself into your heart, Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing today?
Doing okay. You know, it's the break was nice. We got to chill a little bit and spend some time outside of the podcast realm. That's right.
True.
We do that.
True.
But it's good to be back. And I'm very excited to return. Kind of missed everybody. You know, that first weekend waking up not doing the brunch edition felt weird. So it's good to be back. And I want to wish you again. I want to be one of the last to wish you yet again a happy birthday. If you have not wished Ryan a happy birthday yet, get on it. Tweet at him, follow him on Instagram, do whatever you have to do. This man deserves a birthday wish.
Ah, shucks. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to get into things in just a moment. We're going to bring in our special guest. He's got limited time, so we're going to bring him on as quickly as possible. But before we do that, got some business to take care of. Just want to remind you to please follow us on social media. Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok @NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. And on the podcast side, you can find the podcast in your preferred platform. And also leave a review. It can be find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, anywhere you find podcasts. Subscribe, share, tell a friend, tell an enemy. We welcome everyone. And rate and review, a 5-star rating would be very helpful. Also, run on a platform where you can review the podcast. I believe Spotify does reviews now, which is pretty cool.
Ooh.
So, yeah. So we're excited to be on all podcast platforms. And because we're a live show, we want you to engage with the show Tuesdays at 8:05 p.m. Eastern and Saturday Brunch Edition. Not this week or next week, but when the NFL season starts, we'll be back on Saturday Brunch. We want you to engage the show. Got some comments rolling in already. We'll get to them in just a moment. But before we do that, we want to welcome our guest for what will be podcast edition number 200. He is the host of the Rod Pedersen Show. He has broadcasted in places like with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the Prince Albert Raiders. This season, he'll tell you about what he did this summer in the WCBL. We are proud to welcome back our friend, Rod Pedersen. Rod, how are we doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. Happy belated birthday, Ryan. It was yesterday, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
I'm on top of these things. Yeah.
Yeah, big old. I turned 47 yesterday. It's I'm blessed to be taking another trip around the sun. So hope there's many more.
Oh yeah. Cheers to that.
Yeah, thank you very much. So Rod, you've been you've been doing the broadcast thing for a while, and this summer you had a really unique opportunity to do some broadcasting in a sport that you're familiar with, but you haven't broadcasted before. Can you please tell the folks at home what you've been doing this summer?
Well, hey, thanks. I spent 20 years as the voice of the Rough Riders in the CFL, 20 years doing major junior hockey with the Regina Pats concurrently. But I moved to Florida, as you know, and it's just, have you been to Florida in the summer? It's way too hot. So
No,
I like disgustingly hot. So I wanted to come back to Canada. My business manager, which is where I'm at right now, Joe Gunnis is his name. He helps run the Moose Jaw Millers baseball team, Western Canadian Baseball League, Canada's top collegiate summer baseball league. And he said, we're looking for a broadcaster. Would you be interested in doing the games? And I said, well, I've never done baseball, but I played baseball, so I'll give it a go. And it's a 56-game season. About 60% of the players are American. and you have to be enrolled in an NCAA school to be in the fall to be eligible for the league. And away we went, and the team finished 4th in the division, made it all the way to the league final deciding game 3 of the best of 3. It was a heartbreaking Cinderella run. And it took me about 2 weeks, Ryan, to kind of get on to the pace of baseball. It's different than those other sports that I'm talking about, and it's a different culture, all those things. It was just a wonderful learning experience to learn baseball, and I verbally committed to come back next summer too. I had that much fun.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
What were some of the intricacies and some of the nuances that you had to kind of learn about baseball?
Oh, you know what? I was pleasantly surprised that the rules basically haven't changed since I was a kid playing the game. And in high school, like other than putting a runner on second in extra innings, there is no video replay in the league. So we don't have to worry about what's ruined pro sports, the challenges and what's reviewable and what isn't. None of that was a thing. So really none of the rules changed. It was just broadcasting it because I didn't have a color commentator, but it was live streaming video. So I wasn't sitting there trying to fill time. It was just getting to know the players more. And I just thought about when we were all kids listening to baseball on the radio, I knew then as a kid that the game was secondary. It was about the storyteller calling the game. Right. So I figured that out pretty fast, but I'm like, I better get some stories because I don't have any stories in baseball. So just being around the players and their families, they enjoyed that because and then, Ryan, the interactive nature of my show that I do daily, the Rod Pedersen show. I was interacting. I came up with fun trivia games during the broadcast. DM me with your answer to this. And you know what I mean? It was fun learning something new. You said you turned 47. I'm 51. And I never thought that I would end up broadcasting baseball at any point in my life. I'd had chances decades ago, actually. You said at this for a while. 36 years I've been doing it.
Oh, wow.
And never had called baseball. And then today, my very first column was published in the South Florida Tribune. I'm going to be covering the Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning this upcoming season for the South Florida Tribune. So I don't know if you were watching our show today. I was like, all of a sudden, I'm a baseball announcer and Florida hockey columnist. That's a big difference from what I've lived for half a century, guys. That's a long time.
Yeah, because you're from Saskatchewan, and Saskatchewan life is a lot different. I would suspect it's a lot different from the Florida life, which you're now accustomed to.
Yeah, well, and the thing of that, by the way, is they're just different. I can say from the bottom of my heart, one's not better than the other. They just couldn't be more different, other than they're both flat, but I guess maybe it's my age. I'm like, this is too hot. And there's people that are teasing me, maybe bullying me, saying, oh, it's too cold in Canada. It's too hot in Florida. At some point I'm going to have to bite the bullet. But I said to Joe, as long as and to my wife, who came up for some of the summer, she broadcast some games with me. She's a broadcaster by trade. I said, as long as you keep running back to Canada, you're not going to get used to the heat in Florida. And I said, well, as long as I can, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah, right. Can you share one notable story from covering the WCBL this year that kind of stuck out in your mind that was funny or just kind of got you used to baseball culture?
Yeah, I do have one.
Okay.
Thank you for the chance. It was near the end of the regular season. We were playing a team called the Weyburn Beavers, and their right fielder, just before the game, it was a God shot, Ryan, as far as I'm concerned. I was in the right place at the right time, and I overheard the manager for Weyburn telling the public address announcer, what the hell was the kid's name? Ryan Doffany. He goes, if Doffany's next hit will make him the franchise leader in career hits for the Weyburn Beavers. So he's like, be on lookout for that. He was just telling the PA announcer, and I just happened to be standing there. So it happened in his second at bat. He hit a single. And the reason this stood out to me was our pitcher was a guy by the name of Weston Walls, a 6'5" right-hander from the University of Incarnate Word in San Antonio. I love Weston. He gave up the hit, and the game stopped. This was in Moose Jaw. It was a road game for the Weyburn Beavers, and Weston turned and applauded the guy at first base like this.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, you would not see that in football and hockey. You wouldn't. Now, take it so far as to say Connor McDavid wouldn't even come out. Sorry, I know you're an Oilers fan, but he wouldn't even come out and accept the Conn Smythe Trophy at the end of Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. And I said to our viewers, we have a lot of viewers in Edmonton, I said, you all know that was wrong, but you give him a pass because you love him so much. Just the sportsmanship. And I said, I didn't know if this was a baseball thing or a WCBL thing. That much class and sportsmanship, because we all remember the 2017 Astros. I mean, it's not like they don't cheat in that league too, but I just was really, I was touched and impressed by that. And I told the kid the next day how impressed I was by his sportsmanship, and he kind of looked at me like, "It's what you do." I'm like, "Well, you sure as hell wouldn't see it in football, and I've never really seen it in hockey. We're familiar with the stick taps and stuff, but this just seemed different to me,
Yeah, and I know you've been remote from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan for the last going on 4-5 months now.
Nah, 1st of June.
1st of June. Okay, so
yeah.
So a little over 2.5 months. It's gonna be. I think it might be quite a transition when you go back to Florida. It's gonna be quite a transition when you go back to Florida. I would have to reckon, which kind of leads me to my next topic when we talk about what we're going to talk about is the NFL season. NFL season is coming up. Going to Florida, you've talked about on your show, but I'd like to have you kind of stretch it out a little bit more on our show in terms of what you've noticed in terms of football culture in the United States. You go from Saskatchewan, which is the Rough Riders are the big thing, but you also got the University of Regina Rams, the U.S. Huskies, University of Saskatchewan Huskies. But then you go to Florida, and you've got the NFL, you got college football, and you got high school football, which is huge. Like, what kind of how did that kind of blow your mind when you saw all the football going on in Florida?
My mind is a great term, a great phrase. It took me a long time to figure it out. Now, I know in your other profession, you deal with humans, and human nature is the same wherever you go. So what it is, I just realized these people aren't different. Their passion's just different. It's like flipping Canada on its head. It's like we feel in Canada about hockey is how they feel in Florida and really the U.S. about football. It takes over their life. It's what they get up in the morning thinking about. It's what they think about all day, and they think about it when they go to bed. Football. And just to with the Panthers, this will be my 4th season actually covering them, but I could not believe how little interest there was 4 seasons ago in the Florida Panthers. Now it's rabid, and that's why I'm writing for the South Florida Tribune, because people want the coverage. 4 seasons ago, they didn't. So the reason I bring this up is the Panthers had played on a West Coast game last winter in LA or Anaheim or something. I got up in the morning and I was trying to surf for the results. I went through all the newspapers, Miami Herald, Palm Beach Post, the Orlando Sun Sentinel. There was nothing on the game at all. And the tabs across the top of the page were what? NFL, NBA, MLB, high school sports, college sport. They didn't even have NHL on there.
Oh, wow.
So at all. So that's where I realized. So the thing is, Ryan, when I went down there, I'm like, I spent 20 years in pro football. I got a lot of contacts. I could do a football podcast. I could be a football reporter. And I looked around. I'm like, there's literally maybe 1 million guys covering football in Florida.
Right.
There's none covering hockey. So I'll just do this. So there's that. And then, FAU Stadium, Florida Atlantic University, I walk to it. I go to the games. It's a pretty big deal there at Howard Schnellenberger Stadium. Miami Hurricanes are in the area. We all hear about FSU. There's a ton of Seminole fans, an FSU alum living in South Florida. South Florida Bulls, like, that's just college. And if I'm an inquisitive guy, I'm a reporter, lifelong reporter. I'm looking into this going, why is college football so much bigger here than the NFL? And let's be honest, the Dolphins sell out every game, but they're bad or haven't won a championship in a long time. They're not bad per se, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
right?
They haven't won a playoff game since 2000.
Right. I heard Mike Florio say today that the Dolphins are dysfunctional. And I'm like, I'm glad somebody said it, because nobody in South Florida will say it. They love the Dolphins so much, but the thing is, they've only had the NFL there, when did the Dolphins come in 66? And I know season ticket holders that have had season tickets since day one. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
Right. And then the Buccaneers came after that. And what was it? 70s. And then
76.
Yeah, and then the Jaguars in the 90s. But college football's been there for 100 years. And to me, that explains it. And then also these football camps. I mean, they're having combines for 7-year-olds, which initially I thought was dumb. Again, I've got friends whose kid, they're all training for a combine at the age of 7. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? And then I realized, you know what? That might not be the worst thing, because they're doing the measurables, the verticals, strength, thrust, speed. There's nothing wrong with competition.
Yeah.
But just tells you how big a deal it is, because they do all of that in Canada for hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the other thing, Ryan, to be honest, I appreciate the question, because this isn't stuff that I usually talk about on my show. The CFL gets more respect in Florida than it does in Canada. You know, we're constantly defending the CFL to Canadians, whereas in Florida, when people find out I was in the CFL for 20 years, they're like, Saskatchewan Roughriders, Doug Flutie, Toronto Argonauts. They know. Mm-hmm. And they respect a guy. If you are the receivers coach at Cardinal Gibbons High School, who happens to be Deron Carter, my close friend, or the head coach of the Dolphins, Mike McDaniel, there's a mutual respect there because you work in the industry. You know what I mean? And it's the same in hockey in Canada. Whether you coach the AAA under 18 female hockey team in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, or the Calgary Flames, there's a respect there.
Yeah, and the CFL gets a lot of respect in my household. I'm trying to get Dustin to join in the CFL ranks. I showed him a clip a couple weeks ago of Antwi from the Montreal Alouettes with the pooch punt. With the dribble kick, excuse me. So trying to get Dustin into it. He's trying.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I don't have as much knowledge as Ryan does about it, but I mean, as a Seahawk fan, I know the story of Warren Moon. I know how respected he was in that league, and I know that it's another place that people can go. And I think sometimes it gets a bad rap, like you said. You constantly have to defend it. To Canadians, the players in that league are extremely talented, and a lot of them have come into the NFL and done extremely well to the tune of, Hall of Fame possibilities. So, I'm not opposed to it. It's just that there's a lot of football out there. There's a lot of football out there.
Yeah, I'll say it right now. Why you don't have to, so why would you? I mean, I think, the one thing is this summer when there was no football going on, even before NFL training camps opened, I had friends in Fort Lauderdale going, "Hey, this is on CBS Sports Network, and this is a pretty good league. Tell me more about it." But then the second Dolphins camp opened up, they didn't care, which it just filled a little bit of a void. But I'm at a point now, as I've been covering the league since '91. I've been a fan since '88. If you can just look at it and say, wow, this is entertaining, and it happens to come on your television. Mark Trestman, who we all know, said, I can't remember where he said it, but I saw the quote. He goes, if you just look at the rules, he goes, whoever designed the CFL game was a genius. He goes, it's beautiful. It is a far more entertaining game than the NFL. And the athletes en masse aren't as good. We've got players that can play in the NFL, but not 40 of them or 50 of them per team. Mm-hmm. But, Pat McAfee calls it state fair football. And again, we have a little bit of small man syndrome in the CFL. We all got offended when Pat McAfee called it state fair football. And he was like, no, I love the state fair. He goes, it's just chaos. And it is chaos. And I think, Ryan, why? Like in baseball, I never had an incident come up in a game this year where I didn't know what was going on, because I knew the game well enough. Even in the CFL, because I didn't grow up playing football, something happened about once a month that I had no idea what. I'll give you an example. A convert was blocked at a game in Taylor Field in Regina, and the defending team was returning it 110 yards to the end zone, and I had no idea how many points he was going to get when he got there. Wow. Like, it was, how often does a convert get blocked in return for a score? Which, by the way, it was for 2 points, but the convert was 1. Like, the rules don't make a lot of sense. And my thing was, this is trying to drink from a fire hose. I'm not a referee. And the problem when I go back to the review in baseball, we don't have it in the WCBL. In the CFL, when it came in, like everything, they botched it. They absolutely botched what was reviewable. And even they're still botching it. You know, they are Ryan. If you're watching the games, you know the command center coaches aren't even challenging reviews. The refs aren't asking for a review, but the command center, which is in Toronto in the league headquarters, is just interjecting itself in the middle of the game to make a call. And it's really confused everybody. And I'll be honest, it's turning a lot of people off.
I made a comment in the comment section last week when Darren DuPont, the great Darren DuPont Moose, was filling in, and somebody in the comment section I'm not sure if one of his guests said something about a bald guy, an unknown bald guy running the command center. I said, guys, I have a confession. That bald guy is me.
I don't think you want to take the credit or blame for that, Ryan.
No, I was just being a jock. I was just being a joke. I was just being a jokester.
Yeah.
But it's funny, we talked about Florida, football in Florida. One of the things that happened during our break was that the R&B musician Pitbull, he bought the naming rights to Florida International Stadium. So I don't know if you'll be attending any football games at Pitbull Stadium this year.
I didn't even mention that. It's about a 40-minute drive from my house. I'm a little like Dustin. I don't need to go. I got FAU right by my house. Cardinal Gibbons High School is my team. I do mental health work with them, and I go to a couple Dolphins games a year. So I can't see me going to a Panthers game, but you never know. That's like just, you mentioned football, but just sports in general. When I first got to Florida, this would be my 4th September, I was going to a sporting event every night because I was really lucky that I was getting a media pass. I probably couldn't afford to go to pay for tickets everywhere. But I was like, whoa, I got to slow down. I was exhausting myself going to sports every night. Like, you have to understand, for years and years and years, I'd heard from the Rough Riders players and coaches in Saskatchewan that it's just like Alabama and Mississippi there. And I didn't know what they meant because I grew up in Saskatchewan. I didn't know anything different. And I also had never been to Mississippi and Alabama. But I went there last winter, Christmas actually, and I'm like, oh, I get it. The football team is all they have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, Dustin and I, we go on, we've got a group of us who go to North Carolina every couple of years. So, and we see college football is not as big in North Carolina. It's more the basketball teams, the triad, the NC State, UNC, and Duke. But I think with North Carolina being better in football and the ACC, they're starting to get it now too. So that entire South region is just crazy about football.
Well, and then the tough part about that is, the publisher of the South Florida Tribune, I said to him, I just want to stick to hockey. Scott Morganroth is his name. I'll be the hockey guy, and don't ask me about college football and very little about the NFL. Then he said, why, you don't like college football? And I said, no, but where would I even begin? You're changing conferences all the time. You go from a 4-team playoff to a 12-team playoff, and then the fighting involved. You know what? We all know what happened with FSU last year. Will there be as big a furor over the 13th team that gets snubbed from the? I would think there will be.
There will be, of course.
Yeah, and it's just like I was out for. We have these Panthers viewing parties for the Florida Panthers, and I was sitting beside a couple in the playoffs last year, and I turned to them. I said, "What's your team? Who are you into?" And they said, "Georgia Bulldogs." We're both Georgia alum. Blah blah blah. Well, we're sitting here in Wellington, Florida. Like, everybody has a rooting interest. Who do I pick? But I will say this: I thought you were going to go down NFL fandom. The Dolphins fans have asked me who I cheer for in the NFL, and I regularly wear Cowboys gear. Not as much on my show, but I wear it around. And they don't get mad. They get it. There's a lot of transplants in South Florida, right? But they said, you should cheer for the Dolphins. And I said, why? And they said, well, we end up blowing it at the end just like the Cowboys, but at least we don't have the expectations they do. So there's a lot less pressure being a Dolphins fan. But I can't see myself going away from that. I don't really have an NHL team. My baseball team's the Blue Jays, always has been, always will be. And I don't have a lot of teams left. I don't feel like I want to leave the Dallas Cowboys. As much heartache as that brings, I don't think I'll change. But who knows?
Yeah, it's true.
Well, I respect your commitment to your teams. And you're preaching to the choir when you're talking college football with me, because Ryan's telling me, he's going, you got to get into the college game. Part of the things on the show, he's like, we're gonna make you a fan. And a lot of my arguments have been what you said. The conference changing all the time. There's so many bowl games. The 13th team that gets just snubbed from the playoff system. You're preaching to the choir here. You're checking a lot of boxes with me. I am going to have a gathering here at the house for college football, but it's basically an excuse so that I can grill a little bit, and get some people together. But the passion for college football, especially in places like Florida, Alabama, it's unrivaled. And I just don't get it because, like I said, too many bowl games. Like you said, who do I root for? Who do I pick? I went to a college where our big sport was soccer, so I don't have like that rooting interest. I understand if you were an alum or something like that.
And my alma mater just started their sports program in 2017, so and I don't have a whole lot of sports to root for there. They don't have a football team.
And when I talk about how the CFL's ruined things with video replay in the command center, the college football has ruined things. I think we all know, and you guys probably talk about it all the time with the transfer portal and even coaches switching teams all the time. For instance, the Orange Bowl is played at Hard Rock Stadium, the home of the Dolphins, every year. The cheapest ticket to the Orange Bowl last year was $500. The cheapest ticket was $500. And a gang of my friends were thinking, were we going to go? We don't really have a team in it. Can you imagine if we'd gone and over half of FSU's starting roster didn't even play?
Oh, yeah.
That's the shame of it.
I think the score was like 67-7 or something. I would have been really ticked if I'd shelled out that kind of dough to watch that. And I don't see that any mechanisms put in place to change that or fix it this time around.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm gonna do college football this year, it's gonna be local. University of Albany's football team, they went to the FCS semifinal last year, lost the eventual national champion South Dakota State. We've also got RPI, Rensselaer Polytechnic, Union College, Hudson Valley Community College. I'm gonna be actually going to at least one game there because the tickets are cheap and it's good football too. So Division III, Division I, AA. NJCAA, it's good football. So
well, if I could ask you a question, Ryan, why did you get into the CFL in the first place? I assume it was on your television as a kid or what?
Yes. Yeah, it was on ESPN. Yep.
That's usually what everybody tells me in the States as to why. Or they had a family member play. There's a lot of that too.
The other part of it was that when I was a little kid, there were two football players who got me into football. The first was Mark Gastineau of the New York Jets when he used to dance after every sack, and Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie, the Boston College Eagles. He was my favorite quarterback other than Richard Todd. When at 7-year-old Ryan in an apartment in New Jersey watching Doug Flutie do his thing for the Boston College Eagles, and he had a little Phil experiment in the NFL. Then he went to the CFL, reinvented himself, and then finished his career with the Bills, the Chargers, and with the Patriots. Fun fact: Doug Flutie is the last player in the NFL to kick a drop goal extra point worth 2 points.
Wow. Yeah, you are a fountain of that type of information. But
some's got to fit in this Bill cranium of mine.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Dustin, he brings up the Seahawks and Warren Moon. I didn't grow up with football. All my dad and my mom for sure, and my brothers were all CFL fans, but I wasn't. I was a hockey and a baseball fan. It wasn't until 1988 that one of the Rough Riders came to my school. I was in grade 10 in my little town, and I'm like, this guy's cool. And I became a Rough Rider fan that day. And that's also where I realized the importance of community involvement, because that's just what turns on kids, and for whatever reason, that's been lost big time in sports. That's a topic for another day. But when I got into the CFL full time, and that was where I was earning my paycheck, there was this common question: who's the greatest CFL quarterback in the history of the league? And I got to say, so I started covering it in 91. I was on the sidelines as a sideline reporter watching Flutie do his thing, 95, 96, 97. Appeared in 3 consecutive Grey Cups with 2 different teams. And I'm like, this guy is the greatest athlete I've ever seen in any sport. And a lot of the old-time fans go, no, Warren Moon was better. I'm like, I'm sure he was, but I wasn't watching. So I'm just saying the best guy I ever saw, and I saw with my own 2 eyes, less than 50 yards away, was Doug Flutie. That guy's amazing. And the other cool thing is That's why I don't ever really want to turn my back on the CFL, even though I don't ever plan to work in it again. Flutie's always been like the biggest proponent of the CFL ever since he left.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we appreciate that, obviously.
He said, I think whether it might have been in a documentary I was watching about him, he said it was the perfect game for him. It was almost like it was designed for him, he said.
Yeah.
So no, it's amazing. Obviously, I didn't watch it. I was around during then, but much similar to you, I did not become a football fan until I was in high school as well, because my father, he didn't really have a football team growing up. Growing up, his baseball team was the Yankees. Ergo, my baseball team is the Yankees. But for football, he didn't really, he liked the game, but he didn't follow a team. And to this day, I really don't know what made me pick the Seahawks. I think it was watching a Thursday night football game on ESPN and Ricky Waters running in the rain. Something about that I liked, that I said, maybe I'm going to start watching this. But I do remember when Flutie came to Buffalo and everything, I started looking into what he did before then. And that's when I first really learned about the CFL. I knew it existed before then, but the only time that I really started kind of looking back was because of Doug Flutie and the I guess mainstream exposure he brought to the CFL.
And then I remember the one game I remember from the CFL when I was a kid. I remember staying home I had the flu. I had a wicked stomach flu in 6th grade, and it happened to be the 1989 Grey Cup, one of the best football games. And ESPN had the Grey Cup that in those days had them on replay, and it was one of the most fun football games I ever watched. I'm pretty sure all of Saskatchewan and was really tightly wound, and then they won the Grey Cup and elation.
Yeah, well, for us, it was a "where were you" moment, like when Elvis died or JFK was shot. I was in my cousin Nancy's farmhouse basement with a bunch of us high schoolers. I was in high school. I'd only been a fan for a year, and doesn't matter how long you're a fan. That's the one thing that teams don't care about, is how long you're a fan. They just care that you are a fan. I get a kick out of going to the stadium and people have a jersey in tatters from the 1970s that proves that they're a bigger fan than everybody else, which maybe within the fandom it does. The teams don't care. Go buy a new one is what they'll tell you. Right?
Stop on by the pro shop.
Exactly. Yeah. Buy an overpriced jersey.
Rod, I know you're tight on your schedule. I just do want to ask one more question about in regards to the NHL. The odds, Stanley Cup odds came out recently in regards to the 2025 winner. I'm just going to read off a couple of the teams here. Edmonton is the favorite, according to FanDuel, at plus 850. Then you have the defending champion Florida Panthers at plus 1,000. New Jersey, Colorado, Dallas plus 1,100. Vegas, Carolina plus 1,400. Then it's Toronto, Rangers, Predators, Lightning, Bruins. Any teams of that list kind of surprise you in regards to your NHL odds?
One, I seen those odds too, and I'm like, is FanDuel not watching the news? The Oilers just lost 2 key parts of their roster, right? The St. Louis Blues basically stole them, and we won't get into the ins and outs of the offer sheets here tonight, but I don't see how Edmonton can be number 1 coming back still. But maybe they are. I don't know. On that list, I would have no argument other than the Oilers at number 1, and I just don't think it's updated. I'm sure you have the latest. No, they haven't updated it.
These were from June 26th. So
well, there you go.
These haven't been updated.
Yeah, and then NHL Network, you probably saw if you follow their social media channels, Ryan, they have the Devils 5th. And I'm got to be real close friends with Jersey Jim Behringer from NHL Full Press. He's actually going to come to Florida and stay with us in October when the Devils are there. And I'm like, Jim, how is New Jersey 5th? They missed the playoffs last year. I understand they have a new head coach in Jacob Markstrom, and I'm sure they'll be better, but top 5, what are they smoking? And the other thing, that if Florida goes to the Stanley Cup final again, it'll be awesome for me, because with hosting a podcast on the Panthers and Lightning, you want your team to go as long as possible.
Yeah.
And you want as many listeners and readers as possible. It sucks to me that the Lightning are just dropping off a cliff. And where I'm at is one thing I've realized, I've been doing this a long time, as we talked about. Teams are highly, highly sensitive now, more than they've ever been, to criticism. And I'm a little afraid to sort of say it the way it is down there, because I don't want to get on the bad side of really anybody, but especially the Lightning. They got rid of Steven Stamkos, did it in an unclassy move. And my quote that just came to me, it's my own quote, but when you get rid of your heart and soul, you get rid of your heart and soul. Unless there's somebody there in Tampa that's going to be the next Steven Stamkos, I don't see him. I don't see him on that roster. And they just keep sliding and sliding and sliding. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It's a new GM that's doing this. But I want both teams to be good in Florida. That's the big difference. I've spent the last 2 summers in Calgary, where the Flames and Oilers fans, as you know, Dustin, they literally hate each other. I've heard this. In the Stanley Cup playoffs this year, Tim Hortons Donuts in Calgary was serving Oilers donuts. And there's Flames fans that will never set foot in those Tim Hortons again. That's how much they hate each other. Yeah. I get it. I respect it. But in Florida, it's not that amongst the hockey teams. They call it the state of hockey. They're trying to anyways. I think Minnesota has that trademarked. But the Stanley Cup final has been played in Florida the last 5 years.
Yeah.
That's kind of a good – I would prefer that not end. So we'll see.
Well, that would just mean more donuts for me. If nobody's going to eat those donuts, I'll eat them.
You like your donuts, eh?
I do like donuts. Hey, I missed it. I missed getting Tim Hortons in Montreal. I am looking at the DraftKings. They do have Edmonton at plus 800 right now, followed by Florida, then Dallas, Toronto, Rangers, Devils. Actually, that's funny. You mentioned Jersey Jim. I got a chance to meet him when I went to the Connor Bedard game in January. Great dude. Great dude.
Unreal guy. Yeah, one of us.
Great dude. One of us for sure. All right, Rod. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you stopping by. Please tell the folks where they can find you.
Just at Rod Pedersen. Boom. It's on the screen there. That's all I'll say. From there, you can find everything. So same as you guys, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. TikTok, we do it all. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. It's fun. Good to meet you, Dustin.
Yeah, nice meeting you. Thanks for coming on. Hopefully we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah,
you betcha.
Absolutely. Thanks,
see you
Rod.
guys.
Appreciate you.
Same to you.
All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll do some comments and we'll get into
we got a lot of comments.
We got a lot of comments we got to go through. I didn't want to spook Rod with all the comments coming.
No.
He already deals with that with his show. I didn't want to give him anxiety. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we got a lot more to talk about on this edition of No Credentials Required. Stay tuned.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
All right. Righteous Felon beef jerky. Tell you more about them in a second, about our bet in a second, and how it turned out. But if you want to get yourself some excellent craft jerky and save yourself some money, righteousfelon.com. Use promo code BELLYUP at checkout. As the man said, as Brent from 1420 the 1420 Sports Podcast so eloquently said in the commercial, another one of our Belly Up Sports podcasts. You save 15% off your order with promo code BELLYUP. What he didn't mention in the commercial was that every order, even if you use a promo code, every order of $50 or more, you get free shipping.
Ooh.
And you save yourself some more money. So stock up on beef jerky, stock up on the meat sticks, stock up on whatever else they have, gear, t-shirts, hats. They have dog toys. That's pretty cool.
Oh, I might have to get one for my house guest.
I thought about getting one in your care package and when I sent to you, but yeah, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky, righteousfelon.com. Use promo code BELLYUP, 15% off your order. And again, every order of $50 or more, and you get to enjoy free shipping. All right. we're talking about some of the things we missed. Well, honestly, missed, but we didn't get to talk. We didn't get a chance to talk about while we were gone. One of those things is the Olympics. We laughed, we cried, we laughed some more because to me, this was the most memed Olympics probably in the history of ever.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
I don't know if you could. I was gonna say, feel free to talk. I mean, feel free to agree or disagree.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think so for sure. And I think it's partially because of the age we live in now, but also, and the attention spans in everywhere across the world are decreasing. And I am convinced because of the culture of binge watching, which I love to do, and social media and everything. We all have the memory of a goldfish now. But I cannot remember an Olympics that delivered more meme content than this one. I cannot remember because we had so many things. I mean, where do you want to start, Ryan? Do we want to take the long odds and talk about the pole vaulter?
Let's go all the way back first to the beginning of the which is the opening ceremony. So the best thing about the the opening ceremonies was the heavy metal performance by Gojira. That was outstanding.
Yeah, that was unexpected too.
Otherwise, the rest of it was and LA Olympic Committee. Look at me, Slayer for 2028.
Raining
Slayer.
blood.
Raining blood. But other than the weird Last Supper and the blue Smurf Jesus, that was a little bit weird. There was when you're starting your memes. Was that weird Olympic ceremony. And then we go into the events. We have the Turkish shooter who everybody thinks is an assassin.
Oh yeah.
His name is Yusuf Dikeç. I think his last name is pronounced. And unlike the other shooters in the competition, there was a shooting competition.
Yes.
Unlike the other shooters who are wearing all sorts of gear, special equipment, they got gloves, they got glasses, they got
one of them looked like a cyborg because of the glasses.
Yeah, he just goes up there and just blasts away. So I started blasting,
blasted away with his hand in his pocket.
Yeah,
and he got the silver.
He got the silver medal. And the thing is, he's been competing since the 2008 Olympics in Sydney. He's been competing for over 15 years in the Olympics, and he got his silver medal. And he's just like, I don't need a special equipment. I just have I'm just blessed with natural aim. Then you have the conspiracy theory of him being a hitman.
I have to admit, that was one of my first thoughts when I saw him.
Yeah, because he's just so cool and collected. He just goes up and pulls the trigger, goes with hits a target, walks away.
Oh man!
And then, go ahead.
No, I was going to just say it blew me away. You know, the comparison, pun intended, but the comparison between he and the other competitors, it was night and day. It was funny. It would be like if a guy went out on the golf course with a set of golf clubs from 1972 and was still wrecking shop and out driving everybody.
And now we have not only one, but two pole vaulters who went viral. The first one being the French men's pole vaulter. How am I going to put this? Because it's sort of a family show.
Mm-hmm. An appendage got in the way.
His pole vaulted the on the way down. Yeah. So I guess he was prevented from winning a gold medal because or a medal period because his junk got in the way of the bar on his way down. And he got like prawn companies offering him money to go on a video. It's like, come on, man.
Hey, they're opportunistic, you know. People have received. It's been a summer of offers. Oilers girl was offered, and now this guy.
She was offered. I mean, she was offered.
Yes.
I think she was offered Playboy.
She, to my knowledge, now I don't know, but to my knowledge, she accepted the Playboy offer. She
She did.
received other offers that she did not accept.
Yeah, I think she was relatively fully clothed for the Playboy,
I think
what I
so.
remember. Yeah, and the pole vaulter we're talking about is Anthony Emirati. He lost out on a gold medal because of his
rod.
His rod. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Or his pole.
Yeah, there we go.
No, we had rod
Oh,
already.
man.
This is his
Yes, we did.
This is
Yes.
his pole. He took home. I believe he took home. He did take home. Yeah. Okay. So here's what happened. The adult film website Cam Soda offered him $250,000 for a 60-minute webcam on the platform because of his pole vault.
Cam Soda's out there offering to everybody. I mean, for 250 G's though, I don't know. You got to make it a little more lucrative, you know.
That's true.
After taxes, you're going to lose like half that.
Yeah, I mean it's $250K US, so you're probably going to take home.
Oh yeah, that's right, because he's Italian, right?
So no, he's French.
French. Apologies. So the exchange rate, yeah.
So he'd probably get about 225 euros. Let's do a live research of US to the euro.
We're back, and so is real-time research, folks. Here we go.
So 224,242 euros and 50 cents.
and then taxes.
Plus that taxes taken out, I reckon he'd probably leave with about 175.
Yeah.
US.
Yeah, which, you know, you got to, if it were me, more money, please, Cam Soda, more money.
Yeah. And then you have on the other side, you have the pommel horse guy.
Oh yeah,
Steven Nadrosik, who kind of looks like Peter Parker.
He does a little bit, yeah. And I believe this is one of the things that we talked about briefly before the break, but I was in awe of his performance, and also they built it up so well. They said, "Oh, this is the reason he's here." But I was very worried because once he took off his glasses, I saw him squinting, and I didn't know about his background yet. And I'm saying, can he see? Like, are we going to be okay? Is he all right? He was all right. He was all right.
Yeah, but the first part of the meme was him sleeping during the competition. He's just kind of laying back like a dad falling asleep watching television, just kind of like this, just falling asleep. And then you got Snoop Dogg going to every event.
Yep.
Attending every event from equestrian to water polo to tennis, just about everywhere. And he even had his own pin, Olympics pin, because I guess pin collecting is a big thing at the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Snoop Dogg blowing smoke of the Olympic rings. I'll have to show it on screen.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. And you know what it is? And I saw a tweet about this, and I do I don't remember whether it was on Instagram or Twitter, to be fair.
There it is.
But somebody, that's great. That's great. You got I kind of want that pin now.
Yeah, right.
But he
the contact Poco Goff for that pin. You'll have to fight her.
Somebody said, and I can't credit the right person, apologies, because I don't remember who tweeted this or who said it, but somebody said, "Oh, my mom called me and said how much she loves Snoop Dogg being at the Olympics and how great he was." And I had to remind her, this is the man that you wouldn't let me listen to his music, and you said it was the devil's music. And now you think he's great, you know?
So we got the pole vaulters, we got the gymnast, we got the Muffin Man. His name is Henrik Christensen. He is a swimmer, and he went around the Olympic Village and just basically stopped, just collected chocolate muffins and
Oh.
could not and didn't stop and couldn't stop making TikToks about them.
Okay, I did not hear about this.
Yes. So this is according to Forbes, and I quote, says TikTok has allowed viewers to get a glimpse behind the curtain into the day-to-day realities of the Olympic Village. We'll talk about some of them in a minute. With athletes posting footage of their experiences, such as sleeping on recyclable cardboard beds and binge eating chocolate muffins. Successful TikTok creators tend to carve a niche on the video sharing platform and stick to it. Norwegian swimmer Henrik Christensen has gone viral on TikTok by quoting many clips detailing his love of the muffins found in the dining hall, and has been dubbed the Muffin Man by social media users. Excuse me. Christensen posts a variety of meme templates and comedy sketches, all revolving around those magical chocolate chip muffins and raking in millions of views per video. Christensen's muffin fandom even attracted the attention of celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay, who commented, "Oh, I think I need to try one now." End quote. I can't quite get Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah. It's I could get into it, but I'd need to get method to get there, and he gets much too loud and much too profane for episode 200.
Yeah, for sure. Then you had the other pole vaulter, the female pole vaulter, Canadian pole vaulter. Her name is Alicia Newman. She is big into. I watched the pole vaulting competition for the women. It has one of my new favorite athletes, Katie Moon, who after every pole vault, no matter if she succeeded or she failed, she just bounced back up, clap, have a big smile on her face. And I'm like, that energy is just contagious.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Alicia Newman, who from Canada, she finished with the bronze. She would try to hype the crowd every single time. And she's also known for, and she did this too, she's known for twerking before her pole vault.
This time I think it was after, wasn't it?
This is before she would make attempts.
Oh, okay. Before,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Because I saw the one where she did it after, in celebration, after vaulting over the top. But yeah.
And apparently, she so according to Fox News, there's an article in Fox News and other outlets, her OnlyFans crashed following a twerking celebration at the Paris Games. I didn't know she had an OnlyFans.
She knows what she's doing. Make that money. Miss
Now, I don't
Newman.
know what kind of content she has on OnlyFans. I don't subscribe myself, but apparently her page crashed. And she said even on Instagram, I get 10 times more than the previous month, and she's attractive. I'll say that.
That's that Olympic bump. That's what we call that.
Yes, that is the Olympic bump. But the one athlete who has been memed the most, Ray Gunn.
Oh, yeah.
The Australian breakdancer, if you want to call it that. And my God, the memes between the kangaroo hops. I mean, basically it's just the kangaroo hops. You just see her cut out in photos of just doing this, the kangaroo hops. And apparently there's been a lot of conspiracy theories behind her and her performance and how she got into the Olympics.
Yeah.
A lot of it was about her husband being part of the committee, and she founded the committee, so she got in. But I've watched some content on YouTube that kind of explained, no, she didn't rig the system, but breakdancing is kind of new to Australia. So she got in basically because she was the best out of, I guess you could call that the best.
Oh, okay. She was simply the best around.
She was the only one who could do the dances. So, and she scored a 0. So, yeah. And I was the one video I watched explained that I guess this is breaking this relatively new period. Like this was a want to say it was a demonstration sport. I think it was. I think this is introduced to the games because they were trying to get a more quote urban appeal for the Olympics, and it's like there's a scoring system and it's relatively new, and it's like, so why bother bringing it out if you're just going to cause yourself embarrassment?
Yeah. You gotta wonder the method behind the madness sometimes. But yeah, as soon as I saw this, and I didn't see it live, but I heard about it after the fact, I said this will be immortalized forever now in the age of the internet.
Yep. And I'll address the elephant in the room. One of the comments that came in from our friend the Playmaker, using his government name, Darnell Solins, the Playmaker, his government name. Said, Dustin, we won. Take a victory lap. Woo!
We did win.
Then he goes on to say, unfortunately, in 2 weeks, Dustin and I will be frenemies. He's a Rams fan.
Oh yeah,
he makes Rams
that's
content.
right. That's right.
My goodness. But yeah, so an update on our bet that we made before the Olympics. I had my doubts as to whether the United States men's basketball team would medal. Came close. They had to make a monstrous comeback in the semifinal to beat Serbia, and then they held on to beat France in the gold medal final. And as a result, I owed Dustin some beef jerky from Righteous Felon, and
Yes.
I'm a man of my word.
He is.
He is. My word.
He got it. He got it right away. We are both men of our words, but my bet when I lost to pay up Invader Coffee took a little longer because, in my defense, the blend he wanted was a holiday blend. I had to wait. But Ryan sent it out immediately, and thanks to Righteous Felon, it got there very quickly. And I have personal experience. I can now testify. I have tried the Truffalo Bill beef jerky. I enjoyed it. I have tried one of the many beef sticks that Ryan was gracious enough to slip into the order, because we didn't really discuss terms, and I didn't want to order like 7 bags, be some kind of crazy person.
Well, especially since I hadn't tried it yet, so I figured
get
a little taste.
Yeah. So I ordered a couple bags that appealed to me. And Ryan was like, I threw in some of the beef sticks for you too. So I've been having those as a little snack, enjoying them. And special shout out to Gaz for having the courage to go down the middle of our bet. He goes, all right, I'll get it on this. It's only right. If they get the bronze or the silver, I get the beef jerky.
Yeah.
So, what a courageous.
He says, I'm not. We had a text between the three of us. I said, I guess I'm going to, it was one of you beef jerky. He says, I'm not rooting for France. I'm like, yeah, it's something that somebody who would root for France would say.
Yeah.
You just want that beef jerky for yourself. Oh my goodness. But yep, I'm a man of my word. And unlike other podcasters from the Daily Wire, one of the places I subscribe to, I follow through on my paying up for the bet. So Dustin's enjoying himself some beef jerky, and we'll have to revisit the Mendoza the backstop Mendoza line at some point.
Yeah, just to check in on that. And I appreciate the support throughout the process, Playmaker. I think you and I had similar views about the U.S. basketball team. And say what you want, but Durant was unbelievable at points during the Olympic run. I hadn't seen. Man, he was very good in their game against Serbia. And LeBron also very good. But true to Kevin's point, when we had him as a guest on one of the Saturday brunches, there were guys that stepped up and did the little things that needed to be done. And it helped. It helped the team bring it home. So I get to enjoy some jerky now.
Yes, he does. Yeah, and what's funny is that Playmaker and I were in a little small group chat, and let's just say this: Steph Curry was the true MVP of that series. He basically brought the United States back from the dead in both the semifinal and the gold medal final win.
Yeah, I mean, the shot over Wembayama was unbelievable.
But all the praise and glory went to they Kang. The bloviating, the gyrating, the bowing down and sampling at the hose of one, slurping up the joy juice, as one Cole Johnson would say, of they Kang after the Olympics ended was just gross. No credit to Curry, no credit to Durant, who became the all-time leading scorer for both men's and women's basketball for the United States in this Olympics. And congratulations to the women's team as well. They won gold again, and I'm pretty sure that in 2028, when they have even more of a broader talent pool to have with Caitlin Clark, and
Angel Reese,
and
Cameron Brink, maybe. Probably you got to figure she'll get there.
Yep, she'll get there. The future's bright for United States basketball on the women's side. Although I've understood Steve Kerr said he's not going to coach the next Olympic team, but I don't know if that's for sure.
Yeah. Kerr's a great coach, and I always like Steve Kerr, and also his episode of The Last Dance made me like him even more, because prior to that I did not know his backstory and what he went through growing up and what happened to his father. So if Kerr decides to step away, job well done, and I'm sure they'll get somebody else. Coach K coached the Olympic team for a number of years, didn't he? I think I can't remember.
He coached in 2008. I believe he coached from 2008 all the way up to the 2020 team.
Okay, yeah. I thought he had quite a run.
He did
as the Olympic coach there.
He did. Yep. Well, we got a lot of comments to go through. I forgot to go through the comments first. But let's go through the comments real quickly. Snowman checking in saying, sports ball, CFL ball, baseball, Astro style. Boo. Oh, sorry.
See, this is oh man. See, this is why though. This is why, because remember how I always was thinking that Snowman was an Astros fan? This is why.
No. He's
a White Sox fan.
He's a White Sox fan, but he roots for the Astros because he knows the radio guy. Anyway, it says smash the like button on the way in, folks. Also says Hot Rod, my Canadian homie, because they're associated. That's how Snowman and I got to know each other, through Rod Pedersen. Got through those already. Playmaker talking about Florida football rivalries in college football. In Florida are different. FSU, Florida State versus Florida State versus Miami versus Florida. Now UCF is getting involved. Yep, UCF is in the Big 10 or Big 12, excuse me, Big 12. So they're I think they joined last season, if I'm not mistaken. They in Cincinnati joined. But now Texas and Oklahoma have gone to the SEC. It's going to be a different animal in that group. Tampa Bay, Miami, Jacksonville barely play each other, even though Miami and Jacksonville will face off in 2 weeks. You know where the big rivalry is in regards to these cities? Where it used to be? Arena football. Tampa Bay and Orlando were rivals for years. Same with Jacksonville when they entered the Arena Football League. Miami could never get Arena Football right, though. They had two teams. They had the Miami Hooters. Yes, there was a team called the Miami Hooters. And then they got bought and got new ownership and then became the Florida Bobcats. So they could never get Arena Football in Miami right. Not really sure why. Playmaker says, don't look at the amount of bowl games, just focus on the college football playoff. Yeah. I also told me to look at Rutgers, not a big-time player, but in the Big Ten Conference. I'm aware of Rutgers. I grew up in New Jersey, so I know about them. It still boggles my mind that the Big Ten would want Rutgers to come in, but I guess they were they had a mad plan in place to go coast to coast, because you got Rutgers all the way on the East Coast of New Jersey. I think they're trying to get into the New York market, because there's no college football teams in the major New York metropolitan market other than Columbia University. They're always finishing in last place in the Ivy League. So Rutgers was pretty much it, and they said, "All right, we're gonna put our faith in you." So they got teams from coast to coast now, from New Jersey all the way to California, Washington, and Oregon. He also said, "I'm just happy I didn't have to go in while covering Team USA." I guess he said going into work. So, because I'm not sure what Playmaker does outside of content creation, but I don't know. But yeah, so that was the Olympics. We laughed, we cried, we laughed some more. But also we saw what we did on break. David, Dustin and I on break. My sister was really kind enough to get me tickets on my birthday to see one of my favorite comedians, Dave Landau. I was trying to do some more content on the side, just to keep kind of things fresh on the YouTube side. So I interviewed another YouTube content creator named Travis Ridgen. That interview's up on YouTube, YouTube channel for under 10 good minutes. Really good dude. Gonna try and get him back on sometime after the new year, because he's training to play in Spain as we record. So he's currently in Vancouver. He's also doing a really fascinating series about the Canadian railway hotels. Really fascinating series. He makes some really good content. He's a good guy. He's a really fascinating guy to talk to. He said, "Yeah, I'll be willing to check in during the year when I'm in Spain." Yes, they have professional hockey in Spain. I just need to find out which team he plays for. So, check out some of their highlights. But I was also trying to work on getting comedian Dave Landau to do a couple minutes on the show. Unfortunately, our schedules didn't sync. He was on vacation, then he was traveling. He was on Fox News for a couple shows, and then he came up to Albany. And we got a chance to see him live. And if you don't get a chance to, if you're gonna see one stand-up comedian, folks, especially in the comedy clubs, go see Dave Landau. He was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great show. It was a great time, and it was my best role as a seat filler that I ever had. Because that was Ryan initially, little glimpse into how the sausage is made. He said, "You know what? Shannon and I are trying to decide, and we on what to do, and we decided, hey, let's just go to the show by ourselves. It'll be a good night." And then they found out that if they didn't find two other people, they were going to be sat next to strangers. So that's when Ryan came to me and he said, "Hey, you want to come to the show?" I said, first question I asked was, "How much are tickets?" Because I was not familiar with much of Dave's work before this. I had heard the name, but Ryan sent me a few clips. I said, "I'm down for this." And away I went. And it was a good time.
It was a good time. And it was funny. I was noticing a couple who were seated to the left of us on a different table. And I said to myself, they're gonna leave during the show. Let's stick around for the first comedian, Austin Robertson, who's also pretty good. I thought he was pretty good too. But after I think something Dave said during his act made them get up and leave. So I'm like, well, still got your $30 each.
Yeah. No, it's gonna happen every once in a while,
Yeah.
Somebody's not gonna like what you say,
Yeah. And I got a chance to talk to Dave after the show. I put a picture of he and I up on my Twitter page, and we talked. I introduced myself, and he's like, "Oh, right. Oh, I'm so sorry. We didn't get a chance to do an interview." I said, not a big deal. These things happen. I know you got a busy travel schedule. We'll do something in the future when your schedule is not so hectic. He goes, "Absolutely. Would love to be a part of your podcast. Would love to be a part of your show." I said, "Yeah, just for 15 minutes, just for a quick interview." He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." So Dave's a good guy. Dave's a good guy off the stage. So we're happy to have him on. Hopefully we'll be able to work something out, and we both can sit down with Dave and have him on for a few minutes sometime.
Yeah, it'd be very cool.
Yeah,
be very cool. It was funny because when you went up to meet him, Shannon said to me, "Are you going to go up there? You know, you could get like a podcast photo." I said, "I'm going to let Ryan have his moment."
I actually gave him a sticker. I gave him a no credentials required
Yeah,
sticker.
saw that.
And
Saw that.
he said he's going to put it somewhere in the background on the set of Normal World. So you might see a glitter sticker of no credentials required podcast logo somewhere in the set of Normal World. So I'm going to keep a lookout for it the next couple episodes just to see if I can find it.
Yep.
That'd be cool.
That eagle eye on it.
Yeah. And last Tuesday, I got a chance to be on all 3 hours filling in for Jeff Levac on Levac and Gaz. And that was fun.
Yeah,
So-
congratulations for getting the chance to do that.
Thank you.
It was awesome that you got a chance to do that. And
Yeah.
you said you didn't want to be Temu Levac.
Timu
I'm not
Levac.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how the site is pronounced, but
I think it's pronounced Timu.
Okay. I think you pulled it off. I heard some snippets
you.
because spoiler alert, I hung out with Scott and Katie, and Scott, we had it on the way over to Cooks Park to see concerts in the park. In the summer, they do a concert series, and usually Tuesday nights I have other plans, but for 2 weeks I did not. So decided to go over and enjoy some tunes at the Cook Park Pavilion, one of my favorite places to be on a nice summer night.
Cool. Yeah, and my sister-in-law told me yesterday coming out of the Valley Cats game. She said, "Yeah, my neighbor her neighbor has been in the radio business for years. He's a host in Syracuse. He used to drive out every day to Syracuse
Wow.
to do a radio show out there. It's about an hour and about 2-hour trip. But he would go out there he'd be on the road by 1 o'clock, 2 in the morning to be in studio by 5 to do show prep and be on the air at 6 or 5:30. Yeah. So did that for a number of years. And they said I did pretty good. So
Yeah.
I hope I might have a future in radio. You might, we'll see. And I might be making another guest appearance in November when Gaz's wife has number 3 or Trey Gaz. So I might be filling in for Gaz in November when baby number 3 comes along, and it'll be just me and Levac. That'll be a show.
Yeah, that'll be some wild,
That'll be some wild times
too.
That'll be some wild times. Before we go to our last segment of the night and tell you what's coming up ahead, Playmaker asked a really interesting question. It says, not to change the subject, but how do you guys feel about Happy Gilmore 2 beginning to film?
Happy Gilmore 2, Electric Boogaloo.
It touched your heart.
I have an interesting theory about this, and I don't know that I'm right. And I probably said it before because when I actually started thinking about it, it's one of the few things I'm proud of, and I don't know that I'm right. But I feel like we all reach a certain age, right, where we reflect fondly on our childhoods and things that happened in our childhood. And if you look at the example of Happy Days, this is what I always use. Happy Days was out in the 70s. But what era was the show about? The 50s.
The 1950s.
And the 70s, the mid-70s was probably when people who grew up in the 50s were coming of age and were starting to get into roles where they were actually the decision makers at some of the networks and some of the things. So that's why I think in the 70s there was a resurgence of a show about 50s culture, because that's what people grew up with. And I think we are in that age now. I think people our age, Ryan, that grew up in the 80s and the 90s are the decision makers now at major studios. And also it's coupled with people's fear of new projects with the increasing costs of movie production and the decrease of the traditional movie structure with theaters and everything and the studio structure and the advent of the streaming services, it's created a climate where people want to be safe because they need movies to recoup their money. And that has also been dovetailed with a huge surge, I believe, driven by people our age and a little younger, a little older on each side, of nostalgia-driven properties. We got Beetlejuice 2 coming out shortly. We got, reboots of the Ninja Turtles, which were huge when I was a kid. Massive. We got reboots of, anything that was from the early 90s now has a shot to get rebooted. That's the era that we're in. Happy Gilmore 2, I think it's a similar thing. But with all that being said, I'm mildly excited about it. It'd be nice to see Happy and Shooter get back out on the course, but we'll have to see how they do it. And too bad Bob Barker not going to be around for this one. Don't CGI Bob Barker into the movie, please.
Yeah. So it's going to be on Netflix exclusively. I guess Adam Sandler has that.
He's got that deal. Happy Madison production deal. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got that huge deal with Netflix. So he's made a bunch of movies so far for Happy Madison Films. So you're going to be missing quite a few people from this film. You're going to be missing Grandma. She passed, the woman, the actress who played her, Frances Bay, passed away in 2011. Carl Weathers, who played Chubbs, he died. Chubbs died in the film, but Carl Weathers passed away last year. We talked about that. Yeah. Bob Barker, the aforementioned Bob Barker, he won't be there either. Richard Kiel, who played Mr. Larson, he passed away. Joe Flaherty, the jeering fan, he passed away last year.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting who they decide to replace in that film. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with a sequel. However, my biggest worry is the amount of cameos and the amount of golfers that are going to be in it. From what I understand, Bryson DeChambeau, Scotty Scheffler, a number of other golfers are going to be in the film.
Oh man!
If they get Tiger Woods to do a cameo, I'll be just absolutely shocked. I will be shocked. Travis Kelce is supposed to be making a cameo in the film. Ben Stiller has expressed interest in being in the film.
Well, he's got to return. He's got to return.
Yeah, Christopher McDonald, who played Shooter McGavin, I suspect he'll be in the film. It's his most notable role outside of Grease 2.
It's more notable than Grease 2.
It's more notable than Grease 2. But those are the only two films I know him from. Happy Gilmore and Grease 2.
Also, Electric Boogaloo. No, I don't know.
No, just Grease 2. Flopped on Broadway, flopped in movie theaters as well. But it'll always have a staple. It will always have a place in the McCarthy household because we're cool writers where we are. But that might have to be another thing for terrible movie night, Dustin. Grease 2.
Okay. All right.
Grease 2 might have to be on the list for. It might have to be 2 parts. Yes, to be a 2-parter for a terrible movie night.
Yeah, but I don't know that anything's unseating Velocipaster.
That's true. That's true. Like I said, Playmaker, I'm okay. I think Dustin might be okay with it. I'm okay with it, but I'm just worried that there's going to be too many cameos to make the film kind of a flop. And from my understanding, from what I read on Deadline, Adam Sandler and co-writer Tim Herlihy will be back on the project like they were for the first one. So, we'll see what happens. Happens. All right, last segment before we get out of here. What's coming down the road in the fall? During our time off, Dustin and I, we had a production meeting at the Speckled Pig in Boston Spa. It's a favorite of mine. Dustin's first time there. I'm pretty sure he had some good things to say about it.
I'll be back.
Oh, how was the Blueberry Pilsner?
Blueberry Pilsner is good. They're not messing around. When they say it's loaded with blueberries, it is. You pour it, it's blue. I was not expecting that. But I liked it. It's very good.
Yeah.
How
I had
about what did you buy to bring home? I can't remember.
I got Made in the Shade blonde ale, and it's delightful.
Mhm.
And it's definitely made for being in the shade.
Yeah.
But Dustin and I discussed what's coming on the road for the fall. And here's what we're going to do. So here's what you can expect for the fall. You can expect 2 shows a week. Tuesday night, 8:05 p.m. Eastern, we'll review the prior week's action. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. or Saturday, which will due to replace the Saturday brunch, we'll be previewing the coming week's action. So week 1, after our NFL preview, which will be in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from tonight, on September 3rd, our preview show will start on that following Saturday the 7th. They'll be live. The only times right now, the only time it'll be a pre-recorded show on YouTube and on Rumble will be on the weekend of the 20th. I'll be going out of town I'll be out of town that weekend, so we're going to record on Thursday and we're going to air it, and it'll be on podcast form at the same time that Saturday morning. But we'll be reviewing week 3 of that week. So Tuesdays we review the prior week. Saturdays we preview the next week. So that'll be two shows a week. I'm working on getting a weekly guest to do your best plays, like for betting odds, if you want to indulge yourself, and also for fantasy football. Well, I'm trying to bring it. I got to get together with my buddy Brian Closer Mariano, who I used to work with at my internship days at ESPN Radio in Albany. Got a chance to catch up with him, and I said, "Hey, would you like to be a part of our show on Saturdays during the fall?" He said, "Yeah, let me take a look at my schedule and see what's up." So we'll have him on for best bets and for fantasy football, who he's looking at.
Nice.
In addition, so our live shows will primarily be focused on the NFL, but in addition to that, we'll sprinkle in some other content during the week. We'll do some 10 good minutes. We're going to do some focus on the NHL. We'll talk about the Major League Baseball playoffs during that time. Just do kind of a reviews of just what's been on our minds. We'll do some other sports related content, some interviews sprinkled in with some other media member or some other some other media members, or just people who just fascinate us. Like I said, we're going to try to get Dave Landau on the show to do 10 good minutes. And, we're just kind of spreading our wings in terms of content. We're going to be focusing mostly on the NFL, but we'll sprinkle in some content on other sports here and there. So, Dustin, got anything else to add in regards to this, what's coming on the road?
I don't think so. You summed it up. You summed it up pretty well.
Ooh, Extra Life.
Oh, yeah.
Extra Life.
I will be doing Extra Life. I believe game day weekend is November 2nd. So I will be, as I've done in previous years, I believe this will be year 6 doing Extra Life for me. I'm trying to remember. I will be attempting to stream games for 24 hours straight on Saturday, November 2nd into Sunday, November 3rd. I usually start at 9 a.m. That is my game day start time. And I'll be trying to take it all the way till 9 a.m. the next day. Most years I failed the 24 hours. There have been a few times I've hit it, but it is all in an effort to raise money for sick children over specifically at our local hospital to us, the Bernard and Millie Duker Children's Hospital at Albany Med. I will be raising money for them again this year. I will be streaming a lot of it with my friend virtually from Virginia. And I'm sure, as is usual, I'll have people swinging by throughout the day at the house. Anybody's welcome. I usually try to get some food and get it together. In past years, I've kind of hosted a little bit more because there was a year where Chris was with me in person. So he was able to take over some of the playing. I was able to kind of get some pizzas ordered and host a little bit more. But when it's just me, that usually doesn't happen. And also when he's with me virtually and we're playing together, I can't really hand it off to anybody. But anybody's welcome to swing in and out of the house. Ryan's always been a big supporter since I started the show and started doing it. And it's going to be a good time. And also, show-wise, keep your eye out in November, especially around Thanksgiving. We'll have something fun planned, as we always do.
Yep, we're definitely gonna have our Thanksgiving show again for our 3rd annual Thanksgiving special. It's always a fun time.
Prepare for some sort of ranking of food.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. And I'm gonna try to I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the last podcast, but I kind of got kind of dream casting a little bit after I covered the Arena Bowl back in July. I said, you know what? I'm going to try to cover the Grey Cup in November in Vancouver, and going to take a few funds for that. But I also has a crazy dream about maybe going to Radio Row in New Orleans. So that's another dream to cast as well. So, hopefully things come together where I can go out to Vancouver and go to the Grey Cup and not only attend the game, but also do some live streaming from the the festival, Grey Cup Festival. It's in and around Vancouver, and it's always a fun time. I've been to a couple of Grey Cups. I went in 2001 to Montreal, went in 2004 to Ottawa. They were both fun times. I didn't really go to the festivals, so to speak, but if I go this time around, I'm going to try to do more going to the festival, meeting some people. Hopefully I'll be able to, I don't know if the CFL has like a Radio Row for the Grey Cup. Maybe do something like that, but we'll see. We'll see. So, here's the hoping, here's the praying, here's the dream, here's the dreaming. Maybe one of those additions for our Saturday brunch. We'll be able to. I'll be from my hotel room in Vancouver at 7:00 in the morning, and Dustin will be on Eastern time.
Yeah. I'll get the better of that one.
Yeah, you will. I'll go right back to sleep after we're done with the program.
Yeah, I'll try and keep that one short.
Yeah. So that's what's coming down the road. I gotta make some arrangements and see what kind of sponsorships I can get to be able to travel. I've already got my passport, already got my TSA pre-check number, so I'm good to go on that. Good to go on that front. Right now, it's just a matter of getting some fundage and also applying for credentialing for both the game and the festival. So we'll see. A couple more comments before we get out of here. Stainless Smooth from Ton of BS. Oh, I was on Ton of BS also last week with Stainless Smooths. The Department of BS is welcome to more nonsense. He also says spoke. Not sure what that means, but yes, Stainless Smooth, I was invited to his program. We talked a bunch of things, talked NFL, talked a little hockey, talked a little bit of WWE, a little bit of wrestling.
Nice.
That was a fun conversation. We talked about Jimmy Garoppolo's third leg.
Jimmy GQ, huh?
I said, well, I noted that his legs were glass, but I wasn't sure about his third leg, if that was okay. So.
Yeah. Nobody's looking to find out about that one.
# Old Spice button. Power. All right, we're gonna get out of here.
Yep.
It's been quite a show, but
it has.
But this has been a fun episode. Coming back to the chair, I felt myself getting kind of back into things, with the
we're getting our running legs back here, so to speak.
Yeah.
And before we go,
yeah,
I just one thing that I have to do. I've kept us long, as I always do, but I would be remiss as the co-host of this fine show if I did not mention that this is our episode 200 milestone.
Yeah.
And to the man who has been here for all 200 of them, and he's the impetus of this show, the creator of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports, Mr. Ryan McCarthy. We let's all issue a heartfelt congratulations, because without him, this show would not exist. He is the man that makes it go. He is the man that allows me to show up and rant. He is the man that created the show. He's been here for all of the episodes. I've been here for, shockingly, if our math is right, you said I came on at episode 83 at our production meeting.
Yep.
So I've been here for half the ride, which shocks me.
A little more than half the ride.
Yeah, but I've also, Staniel's filled in for me a couple times. Kevin's filled in for me. I've missed a few. So I'll round down a little bit and say for half the ride, I've been here. But without you, the show's not possible. Thank you. Thank you for letting me come on and do what I do on here, for better or worse. And also thank you to anybody at any time who watched, listened, shared, subscribed, any of those things. You're here for any number of the first 200. We hope you're here for the next 200. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dustin. I appreciate those kind words. I'm speechless. I'm a little speechless. I didn't expect those, and I thank you for those. I thank you for those words. You know, it's been a wild ride since the creation of the show. We just commemorated our 4th anniversary about 11 days ago. The first episode of the, I don't know. Initially, it launched in April 2019. Then we had to stop, and then started back up in August 2020. During the height of Uncle Melvin visiting for a very long time.
Yeah.
When there wasn't a whole lot of sports on television. But we meant to talk about other things like pop culture, movies, lists, that kind of thing. And there's a couple stops and starts here and there, just trying to figure out my way and trying to figure out how am I going to do this by myself and who am I going to get as a guest. And actually, Rod Pedersen was one of my first guests on this show in March 2021. Just on a whim, because he was on another podcast who were affiliated with Belly Up Sports at the time. They had him on their show. And I figured, you know what? Let's write to Rod, see if he's willing to come on my show. He's like, absolutely. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
so that long form interview is available both on YouTube and on the podcast side. I had him on later that summer during July when I had a wild month of guests. I've had numerous guests, whether it be local, whether it be from far away. We've had guys like Colin Taylor was our first guest. I think Rod was one of our first guests, though. So he's been a supporter of mine. He's been a supporter of mine. He knows I support his show, and he does the same. He likes to do the same for me. So he gives me shout outs every so often on his show. But yeah, like people like Colin Taylor, Brittany Wagner from Last Chance U, the first 2 seasons, she was on the show promoting her book. She was a great interview. Almost proposed marriage. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
You got swept up in it.
I did. I was a little smitten. I won't lie. I was a little smitten. She's very sweet. She still is. Yeah, I mean, every guest who's been on this show has been in this program, who's filled in as co-host while I was trying to make my way through, and again, all the stops and starts, and just thanks to everyone who has stuck with me, to my family who's been very supportive of this project, to Dustin who I don't know, when I asked him to be a part of the show, I didn't know what he was going to say. He said, "Yeah, absolutely," and he's been my co-pilot ever since. So thank you, Dustin, for being a part. And I know sometimes we go a little bit long with it, but that's okay.
We do.
This is why we have this show. This is more of a fun project for the both of us, because we both love to talk about sports, and this is just kind of a nice outlet to get that out of the way. I'd like to make this bigger. We'll see with the NFL season coming along. We're gonna do our best to make this show stand out. We're not gonna do anything stupid, like climb a building or put up a banner or jump from an airplane. No, we want our content to stick out. And one thing that can help us do that is you, the audience. So if you're out there, you're listening, you're watching on YouTube or on Twitter, on Facebook, on live or on replay, tell a friend about this show. Spread the word. Word of mouth is always the best way to let the people know about this show, about this project we're doing. It's about this. This is fun. This is fun for me because I would love to have a career in broadcasting, but sometimes life gets in the way, and this is what you got. This is what you got to deal with, and this is what you got to work with. You got to do it. You got to work with the cards you're given.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy that these cards were given to me and I got an outlet. So, but thank you to everyone who has supported me, to Belly Up Sports, to Godzilla Media, Tom Gislowski, Jeff Levac, anyone who worked with us in Godzilla Media side, to Belly Up Sports, Mike, Blaine, Jared, had a project who was been a guest on the show before, who has given me a platform to a network to be on. Thank you. Thank you for the last 4 years, for the 200 episodes and a little extra. Although I don't count them, like I said, I don't count the morning cup or 10 good minutes as part of canon. But this is officially episode 200. Thank you for everyone who has stuck by and continues and supports the show and continues to support the show. And again, tell a friend about the show. Tell them about how you found us. Subscribe to the show. Help us build our audience. Help us build a following. All we want to do is just deliver quality content, good content. They'll make you laugh. They'll make you think. They'll say, oh, okay. I didn't know he thought about that. Or that's crazy. I'm going to write him and tell him he's wrong. But yeah, thank you again. Thank you for all sticking with me all 200 episodes and then some. And, I'm hoping this continues to build momentum. Even if I don't get one more subscriber, I'm just having a lot of fun making this stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Thanks to everybody for supporting people that support us. We enjoy doing it every week. And I finally got a stand for you, everybody.
Yay!
I'm working on making my setup better. We'll get there eventually. I told Ryan in the green room, I want to make this the best podcast studio room I can. I'm going to try to continue to do that.
Yes. Yeah, well, our backgrounds will look better eventually.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we're going to get out of here. We've gone long enough. But just to remind you before we get out of here, please follow us on social media. Facebook.com/NoCardsREQ. Twitter, Instagram, the scarcely used TikTok, it's @NoCardsREQ. YouTube.com/@NoCardsREQ. On the podcast side, subscribe wherever you find podcast, whichever podcast platform you're on, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, whichever one you're on. Leave us a rating. A 5-star review would be helpful. And if you're able to, please leave a review. We might even read it on the air. Thanks again for joining us on No Credentials Required, episode 200, where you don't need to press pass to talk sports. Again, we are proudly presented by the Belly Up Media Network. We'll be back. We won't have a show this Saturday or the following Saturday, but we will have a show next Tuesday at regular time, 8:05 Eastern time. I'm going to try to get another guest on before we roll into the NFL preview. So stick around, stay tuned. Stay tuned to our socials. We'll let you know who we're going to bring on Tuesday. And until then, take care, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Good night, everybody.
200!